Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be continuing our ground up series on Overwatch, teaching you guys how to do stuff and yeah. Okay, so this time around we are going to be talking about positioning. There are a couple positions that I'm going to outline here at the beginning and then dive into depth a bit more once we get there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break all positioning down into three categories. You have your brawl positioning, your offensive positioning, and your defensive positioning. I'm going to start at the back and work my way up here and kind of explain each one a little bit better. So your defensive positioning is, I'm going to call it your Overwatch positioning, okay? It's your kind of like sit back and watch the entire battlefield and then help where you need to provide support or damage to whoever needs it, wherever they need it. You know, that's your kind of up high, off the back, up high in the back positioning where you just kind of observe and don't really subject yourself to most of the fighting of that's going on. The next one is your defensive or offensive. I just covered defensive. Your offensive positioning. This is your dive positioning. This is like where you would be if you were diving in past the enemy team and attacking them from the back. That's really all that one is. And then you have your brawl positioning. This one I'm also going to break up into three because it needs to be done. So first you're going to have your back line, your mid line, and your front line. Okay, there, I broke it down. That wasn't too hard, but this is important to understand because this is what you'll run into more if they're running like a death ball. You'll have your tanks up front on your front line. On your mid line, you'll have your DPS hiding behind the tanks, but still dealing damage to their enemies. And then the back line, you'll have the healers. Those three that I listed there aren't specific to the brawl zone. So let me outline kind of what the brawl zone is. The brawl zone is where the two teams kind of conflict. It's that main fighting area. Then you have your Overwatch, which is kind of up behind them, and then your dive, which is kind of behind the enemy team. So your Overwatch and your dive are going to be flip-flopped for the enemy team. So basically, your Overwatch is going to be their dive, and their dive is going to be your Overwatch. Now that we kind of have those established, that isn't so much to give you good positioning in certain maps. That's just sort of to open your understanding to the different types of positioning and kind of where you should be as the character you're playing. Some characters excel at the dive positioning. Winston is a really good example of this, so is Genji. Other people really excel at the Overwatch. Ana is an amazing example of this, so is Widowmaker. Then in the brawl area, most heroes do pretty comfortably here, but mostly this is where your tanks are going to want to sit because this is where they do best. You've got your Roadhog, you've got your Reinhardt, people like that, and then your Lucio are also going to be better in the brawl area along with your Mercy than in an Overwatch or dive position. So it's just good to understand kind of where you fit into this to place yourself correctly in proportion to all the different things you need to keep in mind. Which brings us to our next topic. Whew, I can English, guys, I promise. What things should you consider when you're picking your positioning? So, I've got this separated into two categories, and then each of those two into three more, because who doesn't like separating things out and categorizing? So, the first category is your advantageous kind of factors, and then your second one is your neutral factors. So what this is your advantageous factors can only be utilized by one team, really, and then your neutral factors can be used by anyone, really. So for the advantageous factors, you have the objective. Whoever's in control of the objective has an advantage on the objective. That's the way it works. And then the other ones you have are your allies. Where are your allies? And then the other one is where are the enemies? This gives you the general outline of where you should be. Look at where your friendlies are, look at where the enemy is, and look at what you're supposed to be taking or defending. And then position yourself accordingly depending on what role or what position you're trying to fill from the positions above. Are you trying to be a dive hero? Then you need to look at the enemy team, look at where the objective is, where they're going, and then figure out where your team is to kind of find that front line where that opposition is, and then dive past, like draw a line from the objective to your team to the enemy team, and then one more, then that's where you should be. So that's why it's important to keep these in mind, or how that comes into play rather. Then your other ones are your more minute adjustments to your positioning. So the first category there gives you kind of a general rough idea as to where you're supposed to be, and then this next group defines where exactly is the best spot in that area for you to be. So the ones I have here these are all your neutral factors for where you should position yourself. This is your cover, which is very simply what you're hiding behind. Okay. The second one is your secondary cover. This one's a bit more complicated, and we're going to jump back to this in a second. The next one is your health packs. Where are your health packs, and how close are they? And like where positioning wise to you are they? Because certain health packs can actually be a disadvantage if you're near them, because it can provide the enemy an edge over you because you're not as close to them as they would be if they were attacking you from that route. But then they can also be an advantage to you because obviously you could grab the health pack and that puts you an advantage over someone attacking you in that position. And then the other one that I said we'd jump back to is your secondary cover. So this one's a bit more complicated and it takes a lot more thought in order to really master. This one it's basically the second layer of cover that you need to worry about. So your first layer is exactly what you're hiding behind, what you're trying to peek around, whatever, what you're using to provide cover for yourself. Your secondary cover is what cover you're going to fall back to if you get pushed out of the position you're currently in. And it also includes what cover is your enemy hiding behind, and like halfway what cover are they going to fall back to, depending on, again, what role you're playing, where you're positioned. So again, like I said, this is important to realize because you need to know where you're going to retreat to if you get pushed out of your position, because it is way better to get pushed out and then push back in than it is to die and push back in, because that way you're feeding enemy ultimates and giving them the ultimate advantage. No pun intended, I swear. And then, of course, if you're an attacking or offensive hero, you want to know where they're going to be hiding, what advantage they have from their position, whether you should attack them or not, and if you do decide to attack them, where are they likely to run? What cover are they going to go from to hide from you? I hope that these kind of illustrated and illuminated the different types of cover and positioning. Well, not cover. We covered that last video, didn't we? Yeah, I hope this helped you guys with your positioning and kind of opened your mind up to different positioning and things that you should keep in mind when you're trying to position yourself well on the objective or near the objective with your team to defend against the enemy team. I hope you guys enjoyed, like I said, and with that said, I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.
I tried to fight